Welcome back to another CM Reacts video. Let's go, baby. We're going to be talking today about Dana White's angriest moments. So let's get into it. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's go.
White is a man who is known for his tendency to occasionally flip out. He's still the best in the business at what he does, but if you get on his bad side, good luck getting yourself out of trouble.
He's a big mouth idiot.
Now, without further ado, and ranked in no particular order, here are 10 of Dana White's angriest moments. Number 10, Mario Yamasaki. While the UFC do try their best to set these fighters up fairly, sometimes it's very, very clear that we're looking at a mismatch. And in the case...
Damn, bro. Let's see.
case of Valentina Shevchenko's fight with Priscilla Cachoeira, that's exactly how it played out. Shevchenko well and truly destroyed Cachoeira in this fight, so much so that the referee, Mario Yamasaki, came under some major criticism for not stopping the fight sooner. In a rare statement, the veteran referee claimed that he wanted to give Priscilla a chance to be a warrior. And boy, that...
Why to give her a chance to be a warrior? That's crazy. That's like do or be killed, bro. That's crazy.
did not go down well with Dana White.
He said that he was allowing Priscilla to be a warrior. What do you think about that statement?
I think it's disgusting. I think he's disgusting, and I never want to see him reffing ever again. For that idiot.
Man thinks it was disgusting. That's crazy. Oh my days. That's a lot of blood.
To say that he gave her the opportunity to be a warrior? No, you moron. You're in there to protect her from herself. He makes me sick. That guy has no business reffing fights, and I promise you, you're not going to see him again.
Mario hasn't officiated at the highest level since, and has also become something of a meme within the sports community.
If he does, he does.
A lover of violence who will never stop a fight before the lights go out. Number 9.
If he dies, he dies. That's crazy, bro.
9, Chris Cyborg. Chris Cyborg and Dana White have had one terrible relationship over the years. Who can forget the time Dana White called her Vanderlei in a dress and heels?
I said when I saw her at the MMA Awards, she looked like Vanderlei Silva in a dress and heels. And she did. Didn't she not?
So when she finally landed in the UFC...
She kind of does. She kind of does like it.
It was only natural to expect some more tension. And when Cyborg posted an edited video that misrepresented a conversation she had with Dana White backstage, Dana finally had the ammunition he needed to take the moral high ground.
What she did was dirty. Dirty what she did with the video and all this other stuff. And then meanwhile, she's running around saying she better get an apology from me. Yeah. I got an apology from her. She did everything she could, including doctoring a video, lying about what I said to avoid fighting Amanda Nunes.
That's crazy, bro. Imagine avoiding that.
I don't think there's any peace between me and Cyborg. She's unhappy. We're unhappy. She lies and does that thing. See you later. Have a nice life.
She was immediately given the boot from the UFC and hasn't returned since. Number 8, John Jones and Greg Jackson. You know that you've done something wrong when Dana White is calling it one of the worst moments in his time as UFC president. Back in 2012, UFC 151 felt...
I remember this in 2012. So what was supposed to be happening was John Jones versus Chael Sonnen, but John Jones didn't want to fight him, so he just went nope.
Into some real trouble due to an injury sustained by the headliner Dan Henderson. All of a sudden, the 205-pound champion John Jones was left with a tough decision: fight the replacement Chael Sonnen on 8 days' notice or pull out of the fight. In the end, he decided to do the latter, tanking the event in the process. In some ways, it's understandable, right? After all, John Jones is under no obligation to be underprepared for any title defense. But boy, when Dana White had his say, he did not hold back. He questioned the champion's fighting spirit, called his coach a sport killer, and named this moment as one of the lowest points in his entire time as UFC president.
This is probably one of my all-time lows as being president of the UFC over the last 11 years. For the first time in 11 years, we're going to cancel an event. The one thing that I never thought in a million years would happen happened. John Jones said, "I'm not fighting Chael Sonnen." His coach, Greg Jackson, says...
That's crazy, bro. crazy. So you literally had a chance to save the event by fighting Chael Sonnen, and you decide not to. Okay.
There's no way you take this fight. This fight. You don't take this fight on 8 days' notice. This guy is a sport killer. Greg Jackson should never be interviewed by anybody ever again, except for a psychiatrist. I've never even seen anything like it in my life.
Number 7, Oscar de la Hoya. Sometimes it takes a long-lasting feud to really get the best one-liners out of Dana. And when it comes to his hatred of Oscar de la Hoya, White can always be relied upon to bring his A game.
He is a lying, two-faced, hypocritical sack of
Whether he's taking shots at De La Hoya's drug use,
he snorts about 12
Damn, bro, state facts. Look at those eyes, though. Look at those eyes. God damn.
pounds of coke when he gets up in the morning and just shows up where they tell him to show up.
or bringing up his terrible promotional practices,
The reality is this guy doesn't know anything about his business. He showed up to his own event at the press conference and didn't know any of the fighters' names. He didn't even write them down. Put them on a piece of paper, you idiot.
Dana loves nothing more than losing his mind at the former world champion boxer. But when Oscar dragged Chuck Liddell out of retirement for an ill-fated return to MMA, that's when things became truly personal. Dana pulled no punches as he took aim at Oscar's character, accusing him of using
That's crazy. This is an old school fight. Chuck Liddell is so old. He's so old. He was about 57 when this fight happened or something.
Liddell with no concern for his well-being.
I heard last week the cokehead, Oscar De La Weirdo, is talking that I don't have any, place to tell guys when to retire. I don't tell friends when. First of all, it's called friendship, you cokehead. Chuck Liddell's almost 50 years old and has no business fighting anymore. Anybody who claims to be a friend of
50's
Chuck Liddell
crazy.
and was anywhere near this fight is full of they're not a friend of Chuck Liddell. I hope somebody talks De La Hoya into fighting again, and I hope he gets knocked out just like Chuck Liddell did in the first round. Cokehead nutball.
And to be honest, we kind of agree with him on that one. Number 6, Forrest Griffin. Forrest Griffin might be a fan favorite, but he also has a history of some strange and bizarre behavior that doesn't always go down so well. And after beating Tito Ortiz at UFC 148,
Wait, this might take a crazy turn. Let's see.
he didn't even let the judges read their decision before leaving the octagon. When the announcement was made, he then returned and very bizarrely ruined what should have been Tito's retirement speech by interviewing him, making for one very awkward moment. And yeah, Dana was not pleased.
That is pretty awkward, to be honest.
Not one bit. Post-fight, he took shots at Griffin for his professionalism in what should have been Ortiz's big moment.
You brought him back into the cage. What'd you say to him?
Is this live? Yeah, okay. I said, are you out of mind? What are you doing? I just grabbed him and said, what is your problem? And he said, I was upset and disappointed. I said, well, next time you're upset and disappointed about winning, do it in the back. You leave the octagon before the decision is called in the fight that you want. Are you out of your mind? And then he grabs the mic and starts interviewing. I'm not done talking to Forrest yet. I met him out back in the hall. I said, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? Are you mental? Get your hand raised or Tito's hand raised. Do your interview and go. If you're bummed out, do it in the back. And if you're bucking for Joe Rogan's job, it isn't going to happen. That's Joe's job.
That's crazy, bro.
Leave the microphone alone until Joe comes over and talks to you.
Sadly, neither Tito Ortiz nor Forrest Griffin would ever fight in the UFC again. Number 5, the media. You know how promoters are supposed to, promote fights? Well, it seemed kind of odd just how aggressively Dana White tried to shut down any questions about an incident involving Jorge Masvidal and Kevin Holland ahead of UFC 287. Wouldn't it make perfect sense
That's crazy.
to sow the seeds for a future meeting between these two? I mean, obviously Jorge was soon to retire, but Dana appeared to have absolutely no time for something that would have definitely generated some decent traffic in the news circuit.
There appeared to be a run-in between yourself and Kevin Holland. I was curious, what was that about?
It's just some dick riding, cloud chasing, so ain't nothing to talk about.
Nah, that's not what you were saying yesterday, bro. Watch your mouth.
Kevin, I'm curious, what is the issue there?
I called him baby
what's
girl
the
and he got
question?
mad.
Guys, come on. These two aren't even fighting. Knock it off.
All right.
Do you have a question about the fight, who these guys are fighting, or you just want to start here? What's your question?
If you could take one person with the steel chair to the skull, who would it be? Or UFC fighter, wrestling ring?
No comment. I'm trying not to get in trouble.
Thank you. Any other stupid questions?
But there's nothing the UFC president loves more than shutting down the media.
Any more stupid questions is crazy. This is crazy, man. Bro, also when he gets angry, he goes bright red, bro. He's like, what's that character called? Do you know Humpty Dumpty, Barry? Looks like Humpty Dumpty, bro.
Media, though. So maybe he was just in a bad mood on this one. Number 4, Ariel Helwani. As much as Dana loves making enemies with the MMA media, he has a special level of disdain for the veteran reporter Ariel Helwani. These two have butted heads on countless occasions over the years. Generally, Ariel is trying to ask tough questions that Dana simply has no interest in answering. But when the UFC moved an entire event, UFC 232, on extremely short notice from Vegas to California, just so Jon Jones could fight after failing a drug test, naturally, Ariel had more than a few questions beyond the safe surface-level stuff that most media members would ask. So, what did Dana do? Well, he did what he does best, firing back aggressively in an attempt to get...
That's crazy, bro. So, Ariel Helwani's trying to ask deep questions, and man just shuts him down. Okay.
Helwani to stop talking.
You are 100% sure that this isn't as a result of a new ingestion. This is the same metabolite that was in his system back in July of 2017. The question I don't seem to find the answer to is, how do you know that?
Because that's what the experts are saying. The experts are telling us that's what they do. How else would I know?
Okay,
The experts are telling
and
us.
I don't expect you to know, but who
Thank
are the experts?
Ask Nowitzki. Call Nowitzki and set up an appointment to have an interview with him. He'll tell you.
Ariel, I can help you with that.
You know, you probably can't, actually. You let Nowitzki answer that question for you.
I would love to.
Nowitzki's the expert on that. Jon Jones is calling it a pictogram, for Christ's sake. Okay?
Unfortunately, he's not
I don't
here.
think he can answer that question. So talk to Nowitzki.
Few people on this planet know how to wiggle their way out of a corner, quite like the UFC
Man's just protecting his fight, isn't he? He's just that guy, bro. He's just that guy who gets on everyone's case, especially when there's tough questions to be asked and dodgy questions and people failing drug tests. Jon Jones, yeah.
president. Number 3, Elite XC. This one is an oldie, but it is certainly just as memorable. After the up-and-coming promotion, Elite XC lost their shining superstar Kimbo Slice due to a rapid-fire first-round KO from Seth Petrozelli. Petrozelli made some comments to the media that suggested that he had been offered extra money to not shoot for a takedown on the promotion's superstar. Sure, he tried to backtrack and say that his comments were taken out of context.
Damn, bro. So people trying to pay you not to shoot takedowns is crazy.
The damage was already done, and as soon as Dana White heard about this, he put out a statement that saw him have a total field day at Elite XC's expense.
The scumbag promoters behind the scenes went in and paid him to not go to the ground. They paid him to stand up. You know why? Because they thought that Kimbo Slice was going to viciously knock him out. That's illegal. Kimbo Slice sucks. Like I've said now for the last few months, this guy can't fight, and he got knocked out in 13 seconds by a guy who didn't win the Ultimate Fighter and who didn't win fights in the UFC. You morons need to be in the kickboxing business. If that's what you're selling, you're paying guys to stand up. They don't care about mixed martial arts. These jerk-offs are in it for the money. These guys want to come in, take a piece of the pie, and in it, they don't give a they destroy the whole sport. You've got these boxing scumbags coming in and trying to fix fights. It's unbelievable.
Over the years, most other organizations who challenged the UFC have either gone bust or been swallowed up through being bought out. Unsurprisingly, after this messy scandal involving their own major crossover superstar, Elite XC caved in shortly after, never to be heard from again. Number 2, Anderson Silva. Sometimes the lines between MMA as a sport and MMA as an entertainment vehicle get blurred, and usually the biggest reason for this happening is when Dana and the fans flip out at a fighter who puts on a boring showcase.
That's crazy, bro. They flip out on fighters giving a boring showcase. That's crazy.
And in this case, Anderson Silva's title defense against Demian Maia well and truly made the middleweight champion public enemy number 1. The UFC had a lot riding on this card. It was their Abu Dhabi debut, and in order to really knock this one out of the park, they opted to bring out the big guns. One of the big guns in question was Anderson Silva, a guy who could always be relied upon to at least try to get a huge finish. What we got in the end was 5 bizarre rounds of very tentative work from both men. Once the dust had settled, Dana White well and truly lost it, criticizing Anderson Silva without any care about holding back.
I don't think I've ever been more embarrassed in the 10 years of being in this business.
Is this your lowest moment as president of UFC?
No doubt about it. Absolutely, 100%. First time that I've ever walked out on a main event, given the belt to the guy's manager and told him to put it on him. That's not the best of his ability, and I can't stand showboating. I didn't go in and fight like a jackass for 5 rounds. I didn't do what he did tonight, but I'm embarrassed, and I feel like I should apologize to the fans, and I feel like I owe the fans one. What happened tonight was a
Damn, bro, man's getting on the fighter's case, though.
absolute disgrace, an embarrassment for the UFC, an embarrassment for the sport, and I don't know if I've ever been more embarrassed than I am tonight.
And though fans weren't happy with Silva, he did manage to win a tricky matchup. Number 1, Frank Shamrock. You would be forgiven for assuming that the first ever UFC middleweight champion would have a place in the modern day history books. But despite being a longtime king over that division, before it was renamed the light heavyweight division, all signs of Frank Shamrock have been scrubbed clean these days.
Should you be in the Hall of Fame? Why aren't you in the UFC Hall of Fame?
They don't like me. I started all the other competing shows, and now I'm on another show with a competing, network, and, we didn't get along, and so there it is there.
Because let's face it, if you make an enemy of Dana White, he will do everything in his power to try and ruin your name. And in one memorable rant that came after Shamrock made comments about White being a reason for MMA's slow acceptance in New York, Dana didn't hold back one bit, calling Frank a number of names while claiming that he is also incredibly dishonest.
I'm sure you're aware of some of the things Frank Shamrock said on my show this past week about you being the reason why
Damn, bro, that's crazy.
MMA has not been legalized in New York.
Frank Shamrock is an irrelevant jackass. You're a two-faced lion chump. That's what you are, Frank Shamrock. What have you done for mixed martial arts in the last 10 years? You haven't done anything. You're just a liar and a guy who's trying to keep himself relevant. I don't want to work with a douchebag like him.
That's crazy, bro. Man's got bars.
He's a two-faced liar. I can't stand the guy. He's a phony.
This is a relationship that will probably never be patched up. And in truth, it's a bit disappointing because Shamrock deserves to be held in very high esteem. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, please be sure to let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. Apart from that, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.